Oh my god, look at all this mainstream media saying Iran attacked the cargo, Iran did this. Here is what really happened. On June 25th, Ever Lovely, a Singapore-flagged container vessel, was attacked by Iran. Why, you ask? It was not following the procedure of the evacuation plan, which was developed by the International Maritime Organization in collaboration with Oman, Iran, and the US to safely move vessels out of the Middle East Gulf. Even the Secretary General of the IMO confirmed that Ever Lovely was not transiting through the northern route as it should. They made their own independent risk to use the southern lane. He further confirmed that 115 vessels and around 25 seafarers had been able to exit safely during the time this evacuation plan was applied since the ceasefire talk. Until one fucked around and found out. They're fine though. All crew members remain safe. The vessel is fine. They continued going their way after the attack. And because one Singapore-originated vessel was warned, not even a US-owned one, the US decided to strike Iran's missile and drone storage locations as violation of the ceasefire. Because they care so much about Singapore. And as if they ever respected any ceasefire themselves. But let me remind you, the control of Strait of Hormuz is part of the ceasefire deal, and they kindly let you know which route to use. So don't be deceived by all this news title that looks like one person wrote it and sent them to all media, because it might have.
Iran has just launched missiles at U.S. bases. 6 missiles reportedly fired at a base in Qatar. That's the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East, and more aimed at a base in Iraq. Explosions were heard over Doha, air raid sirens, interceptors scrambling. The United States Embassy literally told Americans to shelter in place. Airspace is absolutely closed. This isn't a drill. This is a credible escalation. Iran is officially retaliating for Trump's massive airstrike on their nuclear facilities. And while some of those missiles were shot down, this sends one very clear message. We are in it now. It's now U.S. troops, U.S. bases, U.S. citizens directly in the line of fire. And if Iran thinks Trump is going to back down after this, they clearly haven't been paying attention. We're watching history.
16 U.S. bases. 16 U.S. bases were completely destroyed or damaged to the point where they were completely unusable. This is according to NBC reporting, folks, that are saying on the second day of the war, Iran launched a combat operation against these bases using F-5s, and the F-5s managed to get through American defenses and decimated 16 military bases. Folks, the source for this is NBC. Let me know what you think about the great might and military of the United States in the comments.
You cannot find one article, not one article other than this, that tells you how many dead American soldiers there are. Not one. I double dare you to go and find out. But a plane of dead soldiers, that's all this says. A plane full of dead American soldiers are arriving at Dover Air Force Base. Not a number of how many dead soldiers, and we did not hear about this beforehand like we did with the 6. Why did we not hear about that? Because that's bad news. When I tell you this could be hundreds or thousands of dead soldiers and they're hiding it from us, why hide information if we're doing the right thing? If this is not a war, why hide information, and why are there dead U.S. military soldiers? I want to remind everyone that Congress, the Republicans in Congress, the House and the Senate, the Republicans control Congress. They have voted 8 times for all of these strikes, including this strike that killed these American soldiers and will continue to do so every single day. They could call a meeting at any time to stop killing soldiers. Anytime they can call a meeting and simply vote to stop killing American soldiers. I don't want you to lose sight of that. I don't want you to forget that. This is only day 7, but every single day, this is on Republicans in Congress and our Republican president. A plane full of dead soldiers is arriving at Dover Air Force Base. We have no idea how many are in there or how many others there are.
The Iranians shot down that F-15 using a drone swarm and a cheap shoulder-fired missile. Huge news that just dropped from the New York Times. So let's go through this because it explains a couple of critical points. First off, what you have is a situation where a $60 million F-15E was shot down using a drone swarm of cheap drones and a shoulder-fired missile that's, less than $1 million. So how did this take place and what did they use the drones for? Well, apparently they used this drone swarm in an area where they knew the planes had been flying over to determine their GPS location, their speed, and their direction. And using that, they were basically able to wipe out any early warning from the F-15's defensive systems. Usually they're going to get several seconds to half a minute of notice. Here, they got half a second, which is absolutely nothing. That's like that human reaction time, I can tell you from a lot of sports stuff I've done, is about 0.3 to 0.4 seconds at best. So what this also tells you is not only has Iran adapted to our advanced weapon systems, we see that in their strikes on the Jordanian air base, their increasing effectiveness and ability to kill U.S. soldiers, but also they've learned from Russia's tactics in Ukraine and how it just comes to show you again and again, America letting that war drag on and not sufficiently helping Ukraine has created the drone warfare revolution for which we are not prepared, and it's come out in this war against Iran. And also how new tactics have made our weapons that have a long lead time and are very expensive are getting more and more useless by the day. Truly wild stuff.
All right, guys, it looks like the war with Iran is back on, and it is back on harder than it ever was to begin with. You have a massive influx of AC-130 and other aircraft that are moving into the Middle East coming out of Europe. This is coming from U.S. bases, U.S. NATO bases out of Europe, which is restocking the Middle East with equipment, troops, and aircraft. And at the same time, you have China now delivering en masse military equipment to Iran. You have the U.S. Navy as well going to be blockading, starting here in just a couple of hours, any ships attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz heading towards Iran or leaving Iran. This means a direct confrontation between U.S. naval warships and Chinese cargo ships. This could be the beginning of World War III. So like I always say, make sure you kiss your babies, stay safe, stay free. Follow along for more.
So we got American outlets saying that it's only been 3 to 5 United States American citizens that have been unalived in the Iran retaliation. And yet the Palestine Chronicle is saying that it's been more than that, according to Iran, to the tune of over 500 U.S. soldiers being killed or wounded. Iran reports 560 American casualties from its strikes, and the U.S. confirms 8 serious cases, rejecting Tehran's figures. The IRGC says strikes on U.S. bases killed and injured approximately 560 American personnel. U.S. Central Command confirms that 3 U.S. soldiers have been killed and 5 seriously wounded. Iran claims multiple bases in Kuwait and Bahrain have been heavily damaged. Washington rejects Iran's higher figures and says operations remain ongoing. It would behoove me to think that Trump would not want people thinking over 500 American citizens have been killed because of their decision, him and Isn't decision, to start and pick a fight with Iran. That way he can continue operations, even though we know that he also asked Iran for a ceasefire, or he offered them a ceasefire, and Iran said, bitch, no. I don't know, y'all. What do y'all think? Which numbers are the real numbers? Because me personally, I'm more inclined to believe Iran's figures than these United States and Is Not Real's numbers. But y'all let me know what y'all think.
Y'all, why did Iran hit the U.S. with the okie doke? These motherfuckers done painted fighter jets on the ground to have the U.S. bomb them because these motherfuckers is using AI. So AI is seeing these images thinking that they real fighter jets and dropping $1 million bombs on them motherfuckers. Just wasting millions of fucking dollars. Iran said, y'all might think y'all tougher than us, have a stronger military, but we smarter than y'all motherfuckers. Because what? How did y'all let some shit like that happen? This was Pissy Pete and Dookie Booty when they found out. Iran was really out there like Coyote trying to trick the Roadrunner. And these goofy ass motherfuckers really fell for it. Y'all gotta be the dumbest motherfuckers in the history of war. How the fuck y'all fall for that shit? Y'all done posted footage of y'all blowing everything else the fuck up. Why don't y'all post the footage of y'all destroying that concrete with y'all dumb ass?
The U.S. has been bombing drawings of F-14s the entire time. The Iranians put their jets underground before the war began. It's literally a drawing. Wow.
We are currently witnessing history right now, as Iran has become the first country to strike Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, along with Kuwait, Jordan, and Qatar in a single day, which comes after the US and Israel have launched attacks on Iran, and a US official has said that the United States has not previously faced such a wide range of simultaneous strikes targeting its bases overseas. And we also have reports of an attack on a US base in Iraq, and Iranian state media has said that its Revolutionary Guards are attacking U.S. bases in Bahrain, the UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait. The New York Times is also reporting that Iranian proxy Hezbollah will start to attack American bases in the coming hours. We also currently have assassination reports. According to assessments, the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has been eliminated by Israeli decapitation strikes on Iran, and an Iranian source has told Reuters that several IRGC and civilian decision makers have been eliminated, and we have reports that Iran's supreme leader and along with Iran's president were both targeted in a US-Israeli attack, but both assassination attempts have failed.
Donald Trump is willing to end the Iran war without a nuclear deal, according to the Wall Street Journal. As not only has he quietly admitted defeat, but he's privately signaling that he's willing to end the war with Iran even without the deal if it means that the Strait of Hormuz will open immediately. And no one will be happier to know that this war is ending than the US military, where the morale is super low, as MS Now is reporting that US sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln are having to deal with moldy showers and no soap. As according to the families of these sailors and Marines, they are getting so exhausted that they fear it could lead to deadly mistakes. And it's gotten so bad that meals sometimes come down to half a cup of rice and 2 tortillas, and the ship's store is out of soap, deodorant, and even toothpaste. But no one is more upset that the war could be coming to an end than this guy, as according to Israel's Channel 13, Israel is preparing to go and independently attack Iran without US help. As US General Dan Kane has let the Israelis know that the US is looking for a way out.
47 F-35s gone in 14 minutes. Not damaged, not grounded for maintenance, destroyed, melted steel and burning fuel inside hangars that cost more to build than most countries spend on defense in a decade. I am telling you right now, before the Pentagon finishes drafting its denial, that what happened 3 nights ago over the Negev desert has already rewritten every war game, every deterrence model, every classified threat assessment sitting in a locked drawer in Washington. And the people whose job it is to manage what you believe are working overtime this very moment to make sure you never fully understand what those numbers mean. Stay with me. Because by the time we reach the end of this, you are going to see the world differently. And once you see it, there is no going back. I spent 32 years inside the architecture of American power. I reviewed strike assessments that never touched an unclassified server. I sat in rooms where the real numbers were spoken aloud and then never written down. I briefed flag officers who understood that the gap between public narrative and operational reality was not a minor discrepancy. It was a chasm, carefully maintained.
So Trump has finally accepted his defeat against Iran. Iran is a nation of great power, tremendous power. And you never see Trump giving praise to his own enemies. Always he just declares victory even if he loses. So no one expected them to attack the Gulf states. We were shocked. And he says that he's still shocked that Iran is still attacking Dubai and all these other countries in the Middle East when he thought they didn't really have that much power to do so. So now that he realized that they do, he's literally saying that they have great, tremendous power. And guys, since Iran is literally 10 times stronger than Vietnam, Afghanistan, and we weren't able to win those wars, I think we might have a little bit of an issue now. Well, at least he's admitting to the defeat, yeah, to a degree. But yeah, guys, don't believe in him. He'll attack Iran again and planning the next move for the greater Israel. Underestimated Iran, overestimated himself. Classic Trump moment. Exactly. So it's just very weird that he's saying they have tremendous power. Guys, what do y'all think about this? Are you going to enlist?
Lost the war. Look.
You are on record claiming this war has significantly weakened Iran. Yeah. But according to US intelligence, Iran still has 70% of its pre-war missile inventory, 90% of its underground missile storage, and of course, almost 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium. The US killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and replaced him with, drumroll, Ayatollah Khamenei.
We think.
Well, they did replace him. You can say where he is. We can discuss that. The Iranians, much to Donald Trump's shock and surprise, weaponized the Strait of Hormuz, attacked US's Gulf allies, threw the global economy into disarray. In what fantasy world is this war close to a success?
Okay. So again, the four conditions, let's start with the ballistic missiles. The measure of the effectiveness of ballistic missiles is not how many you have, how many you possess, it's how many you can fire against an enemy in a militarily significant manner.
They just bombed US bases in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in Jordan.
Yes. And that had almost no effect really on the United States' ability to project power in the region. And again, going back to my initial predicate, Donald Trump, at least, he sees defeat, regime change, not coming from military.
So the United States just released their total aircraft losses in the war in Iran. One F-35 was struck by an Iranian SAM missile over Iran. However, the pilot was able to return to base and make an emergency landing. 3 F-15 Strike Eagles were hit by Kuwait air defenses and ultimately destroyed in a friendly fire incident. 12 Reaper drones were hit and destroyed by IRGC forces. And finally, 1 Black Hawk and 1 tanker were destroyed in Iraq, 1 by a drone and 1 in a refueling incident. All of this together cumulates to roughly $1 billion in total aircraft losses, which is an insane statistic on paper. However, I want to put this into perspective. Last year alone, in 2025, the United States lost roughly 8 aircraft in training incidents alone, which means the United States lost more aircraft during training last year than they've lost in this war in Iran. And I'm not saying the United States is winning, I'm not saying they're losing, but this is an insane metric. The entire time the United States has done 10,000 missions in Iran, the only damage they were able to produce on US planes was hitting 1 F-35, which then returned back to base safely.
Pay attention and listen, because ex-United States general explains that the United States is walking into a nightmare. Look.
There's a complete failure to understand that Gaza is the catalyst for the larger war that's now going to begin against Israel. Every Muslim country is going to come on board against Israel, along with Russia, along with China. I'd be surprised if Mr. Putin doesn't make it very clear to Mr. Netanyahu that if he contemplates using a nuclear weapon, he needs to understand something. If you do this, if you use a nuclear weapon against Iran or anyone in the Middle East, we will use a nuclear weapon against you. I'd be very surprised if he has not already said that. We don't understand what we've walked into because we're not informed. We still think this is 1991. Listen to the rhetoric. I'm ready for peace now. We've made our point. We hope the Iranians understand us and will make peace. Have you lost your mind? The war is now just beginning.
Which means the fate of the United States is decided in less than 24 hours. So if you want to stay updated on all the news that's going to happen in the next 24 hours, follow this page right here to stay updated.
Major escalation as Iran is actively planning and seriously considering a ground incursion into Kuwait to seize U.S. military bases. They then plan on taking 100 U.S. soldiers hostage before quickly transferring them to Iran if the United States continues its military campaign against Iran. The United States has informed Israel it plans to escalate military action against Iran in the coming days. Washington also warned that Iran could still drag Israel into the conflict by launching direct attacks on Israel territory. This is obviously a huge escalation in the war. If you want to stay updated every single day, hit that follow button. Ukraine might have just started World War III. Look, Ukraine has attacked multiple ships bringing Iran supplies in the Caspian Sea. Last night, Ukraine launched drone attacks on Russian ships bringing supplies, weapons, and equipment to Iranian ports. President Zelensky then said the Iranian government does not have a right to exist.
We are 144 days into this Iran war. They've been defeated, I don't know how many times now, according to patient 47, Donald Trump. For a country who doesn't have an army, doesn't have an air force, doesn't have a navy, they sure are doing one heck of a job staying in this fight. The port is not open yet, and the battle continues. But this is what I'm talking about with patient 47. It's unbelievable that we cannot trust anything this administration says. There have been numerous injuries in this war. We're losing American soldiers. It's costing a fortune, but yet this administration will tell you how they've decimated the Iran army, how we have decimated their air force. We've blown them out of the water. We've won this thing. It's pretty much over. I don't know how many times we've heard it, but yet it still goes on and on and on. What it would be like to have an administration that would at least tell the American people the truth. But the truth does not know how to find itself out of Donald Trump's mouth. That's what's sad about this administration. And what's even worse is that everybody in his White House, everybody in his administration will go right along with his lies, and they will repeat them. How can we trust anything the government says when they constantly lie to us? Something has to change, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is Grim with Get the Rant, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh my God, I feel sorry for you Americans, honestly. 1 million plus people waiting in Iran for your troops to land. Your stupid psychopath leader is putting them in the line of being slaughtered. For last 40 years plus, Iran has known that the attack is imminent by Americans, and they've been training their public as well as training their army of millions to actually get ready for the day that the infidel, as they call it, will come and try taking our land. And there's going to be gunfight, battles, skirmish on the road, and they're ready for it. And your stupid psychopath, who I honestly believe sits there on the phone to himself at night going, hello? Yes, Khomeini. Oh, yes. Yeah. I think we have a deal. Yes. Is it 8 ships? 10 ships? Great. Yeah, I think I'm going to attack you. Actually, I think I've got a deal with you.